Hello, everyone. Welcome. Managing our energy in relationships. And I suppose this is particularly important these days where we might be living in closer quarters for extended period of time, not what we're usually doing. Let's begin with closing your eyes, sitting nice and tall with your spine upright. We'll just do a little meditation to say hello to our own energy. Bring your attention now into the center of the head. The center of your head, you find it by drawing a line between the eyebrows straight back and tops of the ears straight across. And where those two lines cross is the center of your head. It's very near your pineal gland. And there you have an opportunity for equal-mindedness, to be able to see all sides of a situation. And you have an opportunity then to see how you're reacting or responding to things in life. And now from that center of the head position, keeping your attention there, create a grounding cord from the base of your spine to the center of the planet. Just imagine it. Hook it into the center of the planet and just imagine a switch, like a light switch, and flip it on and let your grounding cord be on release, meaning you can let go of anything that's not you or just anything you're ready to let go of, and it'll just get recycled. And then from near the center of the planet, bring some earth energy up through the bottoms of your feet, through your knees and hips and down your grounding cord, and you create a nice connection with the earth. And then reach way out into the cosmos and bring bright, sparkling cosmic energy in through the top of the head, down the backside of the spine, to the base of the spine. Pick up about 10% earth energy and bring this mixture of cosmic and earth energy back up the front side and let it pour out through the top of your head, filling up your aura. Your aura is the energetic bubble around your physical body. So this is your space. This is what we have control over. This is what we're responsible for. And that's what we're going to be talking about and utilizing this today. Just imagine over your head a big gold sun. And this high vibration energy, you can put in there all of the qualities that you'd like to fuel yourself with today. So right now, let's have open-mindedness and clarity, self-love and love of the divine. Pop a hole in your gold sun and allow bright gold, high vibration energy to pour in through the top of your head. And let it just fill all the cells of your body, all the space between the cells, filling your grounding cord and filling up your aura. And when you're ready, take a nice deep breath and open the eyes. So many of us are experiencing our home lives in new ways these days. You might find that staying home has beautiful advantages, that you can get going on those projects that you've wanted to do for a long time, that you get to spend more time with your loved ones, until maybe it starts to feel a little crowded or feeling irritated or disagreeable, maybe even painful. And it might feel like people just do things to make you irritated. Or it might feel like someone just doesn't respect any of your desires at all, or have any understanding of you at all. Well, becoming more aware of your own energy is really the solution to this. Yep, it's not about them changing, but about you changing your response to them. Responding rather than reacting. And we'll talk about what that difference is and how we can make a difference in that. So have you noticed that people don't seem to meet your expectations? Or that every time you're around them, the same thing happens over and over again? And then somebody else isn't meeting your expectations. And then there's lots of people doing the same things. And it can be a real challenge for keeping good relations and peace, especially at home. It can also damage relationships when we start reacting to things that people are doing. Close quarters for an extended period of time can show us a lot about our relating with others. So what makes us do that? Consider this then. It's our own attachments to getting our way. And why do we have those attachments? Well, it's our fear. Having the expectation of someone else is really not the problem. We can expect other people to treat us well. An expectation can set the energy in a particular direction for us, which is great. But it's our attachment to the outcome that makes the difference. So if I'm attached to someone else responding to me in a certain way, I'm not respecting them. I'm not being present to where they are. I might be shocked or unhappy about it, but the sooner I see more possibilities, the more available everything in the relating is to move forward. And if I stay stuck on what they do or don't do, then I'm not present. In other words, we need to let life unfold. And this is really a great key in happy, healthy relating. If you feel like you need to always get your way, people aren't going to want to be around you. Energetically, we all make agreements. Sometimes they're written. A marriage agreement, a home mortgage, a business contract. But many agreements are unspoken, just on the energetic level, but they have a huge effect on us. Family agreements tend to be the most prominent in our lives. Your father says something and then you react in a certain way. And you might be reacting the same way you did when you were 12, and you could be 50 now. And you wonder, why am I doing that? Or when your mother says she wants something from you, and you respond in a rebellious way, even though you don't have any reason to be rebellious with her. You know what I mean? These are outdated energetic agreements. And so we can learn to change those agreements. And it doesn't have to be a painful experience to do that. From yoga, there's something called samskara, or our impressions or memories from the past. And we carry these impressions around in our aura and in our body, and they still have a charge for us. They aren't resolved in our mind. And they can be awakened by something somebody does on the outside. These days, the common word is triggered. Used to be, they push my buttons. So this is when somebody does something that wakes up something in me that I actually need to clean up. So sometimes we can talk things through to understand each other if we have good self-awareness and the ability to be honest with ourselves. But often we just need to clean up our own energy and resolve the old charge, and then we'll see the situation very differently. It's really a good idea to do that before trying to talk something through. The current situation might not really be the real cause of your reaction then, right? Because if I have a reaction to something, then that's when I know that one of those old memories has been awakened. So you can see that your reaction doesn't match the situation. And so this is a time to use the tools, to use the tool of a rose to clean up that charge, to clear the charge for me. And we'll do that in just a few minutes. What if someone does something that you find outrageous or ridiculous? Do you bite their head off? Or do you yell at them? Or do you resort to passive-aggressive behaviors to avoid looking at your part in what's happening. These can all be really uncomfortable and difficult situations, and it can cause harm in a relationship. So let's take a look at this in light of Ayurveda and what's called Sattva Vijaya Chikitsa. So the word sattva means balance and harmony. And this Vijaya Chikitsa is, you might call it Ayurveda mental therapy or psychology. When we work with our five senses and therefore we're working with our energy, we can heal these things from the past and we transform in life. Relationships evolve. Looking at it in a really simple, energetic way, it allows us to clear up the problems without creating more. So we could look at every challenge in a relationship as an opportunity for each of us to evolve. So the first suggestion today is something called a relationship bubble or a relationship aura. So if I have my aura and you have yours, we create a third aura that is the relationship. Now, you probably do this sometimes, and those are the relationships that go really well. But when we don't do it, then it's pretty difficult. Because when we don't do that, then we jump in each other's space. Then we literally put our energy over in someone else's space, usually trying to control them. So this relationship bubble, we can each put our energy there and interact there. And there's freedom to interact, to be yourself. So think about the relationships that you have that are easy. And you might say, well, but the topics that we relate on are not that difficult. Oh yeah, but still, this approach can be applied in any situation. And really, the most challenging ones are usually our parents, right? And so establishing that relationship bubble with them individually and not as a unit also is a really healthy thing, a really helpful thing in terms of relating and as you mature in life. So what happens when we're pulling and tugging at each other, or we feel completely smothered by another person, or we feel completely repelled by them? Imagine someone you have in your life right now that is challenging for you. And so I'd like you just to do this. And you can do it with your eyes open or closed. Either way is just fine. You're just directing your energy. So create a relationship bubble or aura, yeah, with that person, between you and that person. You put your energy there and you invite them to put their energy into that relationship bubble. Now, what you can do then is you give that relationship bubble a grounding cord to the center of the planet. And then down that grounding cord, release everyone's fear and anger. And anything else that you'd like to have come out of the relationship and not be there. Maybe the desire to control. And then give that relationship bubble a big gold sun of high vibration energy. And now let's just see what happens. Just leave it out there. I'd suggest that you do this with all of your relationships and see how things go. At first, it might feel a little funny. It might feel like you're not getting as close to people as you might like. And that's because you're probably used to being really tightly enmeshed with people when you relate to them. And so this gives us an opportunity to relate side by side, and beautiful things come from it. So the next solution in relationships is acceptance and forgiveness. You know, often we have problems that we're not accepting that other person right where they are. We want them to be different. And you might think, well, but they aren't changing. Why should I? But remember that in a relationship of any sort, if one person changes, the relationship has changed. You know, I learned to put this into effect even when I went into the post office or somewhere where I was dealing with somebody that I didn't know at all. So even if that other person's having a bad day, that if I can be present with them, then it'll be okay. And it might even be helpful to them. And the same applies if I'm in a bad place. And if I can just get myself to the point where I can see a little bit of who they are, then I can shift. So sometimes forgiveness for somebody else's behavior is a solution, where none of us are perfect. And sometimes we need to just forgive ourselves too. Forgiveness is what really frees us up in relationships and in life. Now, most of us want to be heard and respected. And notice if you're thinking about what you're going to say next when someone is talking to you, rather than actually listening to them. And this is where learning to be in the center of your head and practicing that, this place of equanimity and even-mindedness, that's going to help you be a good listener. It feels good to be a good listener, and it gives others the space to be themselves. So being fully present with others when they speak to you, or if you can't be, then let them know. Say, wait, just a minute, I'm not available yet. And this is something that Halipuli that we started practicing some time back, and it's very, very helpful for everybody. Yeah, but at first we have to get used to it, because sometimes if you're used to speaking to somebody and you always get your way, right? They always respond to you right then. Yeah, and so we need to let it be okay. It's like, no, hang on just a minute. Let me finish my thought and what I'm doing. This is something that we could all do for each other that is very, very helpful, because if we split our attention, so if that person responds to you but really is still doing what they were doing, then this is something that aggravates vata dosha. It's not helpful to anybody. So allow your relationships in life to be fresh, and let them evolve each day. We're all growing and changing a whole lot right now, especially. But this is something that's going to be like this for a good long while. And the more we can recognize that life is changing all the time, we really don't know what's going to happen. And we didn't before a few months ago, right? But we thought we did. And so the more we just keep an open mind, trust the flow of life and the God of our heart, then things will unfold. So allow the space for those around you to evolve each day too. So when there are rough patches in relationships, disagreements, always look to see, what can I do differently? And be an example of what you desire in others. So the regular practices of Ayurveda and yoga, over time, they reduce the negativity in the mind, and they increase a positive approach to relating, and it helps us to be more open-minded. So let's do a meditation for clearing up our own samskara, and also for shifting old agreements. So come into the center of your head and close your eyes. Make sure your earth energy is running from near the center of the planet, up through the bottoms of your feet, to your knees, hips, and down your grounding cord. And that your cosmic energy is running in through the top of the head, down the backside of the spine to the base of the spine, picking up about 10% earth energy, and bringing this mixture of cosmic and earth energy back up the front side, letting it pour out through the top of your head, filling up your aura. Imagine a rose out in front of you. And a rose can be used in many different ways. So in this case, we're going to use a rose to clear the charge off of an old memory. So if you can right now, just imagine, where is that memory in my space? In other words, let's say somebody does something in a particular way, speaks to you in a particular way, and you feel that sort of a twitch or a pain maybe in your tummy. So take that rose that you've created, and we'll collect up that energy that creates that twitch or pain. Put it in the rose, put it out in front of you at arm's length, and blow it up. So if you prefer, you can light a match and dissolve it, but just let that energy be dispersed and it'll get recycled as it's needed. Now let's create another rose, and I'd like you to use that rose right around your throat area. And let that rose now collect up any energy that's sitting there that keeps you from speaking your truth. Now, I'm not saying we always need to dump all of our truth on somebody else, but let that rose collect up any blockage that sits there and says, oh no, I shouldn't say that. And then put that rose out in front of you at arm's length and destroy the rose. And now, with your attention at the center of the head, take a nice deep breath. And with a relaxing exhale. So as you remove the charge off of these old memories, then the memories move into the archives, you could say. You could pull it up, but it's not right in your aura, right in your present. And that's going to give you the freedom to see others and yourself more clearly. Now let's take a look at agreements, energetic agreements. So I'd like you to think about maybe some behavior that you have that happens every time you get around this person, but you'd like it to be different. You'd like to respond differently. So I'd like you to imagine that agreement as a little bundle of sticks. And just imagine now breaking those sticks just right over your knee. Let all the sticks break. If one of the sticks doesn't want to break, that's where you're holding on to that energetic agreement. So you can end those old agreements. Maybe it's how you respond to your mother. Or even if your mother's passed, how you responded to your mother in the past, because you'll recreate your mother in order for you to clean that up. And now you can replace that agreement or not. There might be, you say, oh, okay, I'd like to have a new agreement where I am an adult with this person. But perhaps you could just leave it open and see what happens. And now imagine over your head a big gold sun. And in that gold sun, let's put the energy of freedom and clarity and some playfulness. The ability to laugh at ourselves. Self-love and love of the divine. And anything else you'd like to put in there. Pop a hole in the gold sun and allow bright gold, high vibration energy to pour in, and let it fill up all the cells of your body, and particularly that space where you may have let go of things, filling up your aura, where you may have moved out an old agreement, and filling up your grounding cord. And make sure that your aura is set evenly around your body, and that will support you being in the present.
I have 2 questions.
When you're ready, you can open the eyes. Great, and just notice how your body's feeling. And just be aware of your aura. So we have a couple of questions. Let's see.
Okay, they're in an email, so I'll read them.
Okay.
Often after a long, busy day at work, which is fairly externalized, on return home, half of me feels like meditating and inner prayer. However, I'm also drawn to meet the needs of my family, seeking guidance on maintaining balance between spirituality and my external life and family commitments.
Okay. Yeah, that's great. We do. We live in the world, and the idea is to not be of the world. And so that does mean we need to have a good foundation for living. And so that foundation comes from your meditation, often pranayama or breathing exercises that help us feel ourselves in our body. And also using these tools like we've just started using. So even if it's 5 minutes, you can always take 5 minutes, but you have to schedule it and put it in there for yourself. So it might not be always at the time that it might feel like it's most important. If it's there on a regular basis, for example, first thing in the morning, then you're not as likely to get in those situations where it feels like, I have to do something right now. But sometimes it happens, and that's okay. Sometimes people can wait 5 minutes, and if you can go either sit in meditation, or you can go and put your legs up the wall and close your eyes and just focus on your breath, because that's something that's going to rejuvenate you. It helps the body physically, get some blood flow back up into your heart and brain, but also just gives you that moment to find the center of your head, to clear out the energy of the day outside so that you can come and be present inside. So you might try even just telling everybody, 5 minutes when I get in the door. and then you can be present.
What is the best way to manage emotions when my mind is at rest one day and then the next day it's a mess in regards to ending a relationship during this time, where there has been some emotional abuse?
Okay. Well, what I would suggest is regular meditation for one thing. You might check out our free download of the basic tools or the Spark Your Intuition podcast, because those tools are what will help you be able to look at that energy, process it, and resolve it and move on in your life. And there's no time frame that it has to be, except that we only suffer as long as we choose to stay suffering. So the idea that emotions would come and go after ending a relationship is a natural thing. But when there's been abuse in that relationship, then we need to look at what is it in me that I can change. We might say, oh, that person really behaved badly, and they may have. But then what can I do in me so that I don't get into that same kind of thing again? And that's not. I've heard people say, oh, my chooser's bad. I choose things that aren't good. Well, maybe we do sometimes, but it's really not about, because that will create a lack of trust in ourselves. And we want to do things that cultivate trust in ourselves. So what it really is to look at what are those old, those memories or samskaras that have charge on them still, that I'll create things in my life to resolve those. And a lot of times, when you come down to it, there can be a lot of details, but it really has to do with our view of ourselves. And, the divine really wants us to see that we are all divine inside. And that's what we need to come to, and let go of that self-judgment that's so harmful to us. And because when we let go of the self-judgment, then we can actually learn and grow into who we're meant to be. Anything else? Okay. Great. It's been really great to be here with you today. Oh, one more question. Okay.
If one of the sticks in the agreement bundle will not break, is it advisable just to work on breaking it anyway, or do I just try again another time?
Try again another time. It should be really, when you're working with energy, it's really effortless in the moment. So it's good, just set it aside. You might just, and don't push it, and then come back to it and say, okay, what part of that is something where I think I'm getting something out of it staying the way it is. So for example, if I've done this in my past, if I've held on to a resentment or being angry at someone, then then I don't want to change the agreement because I want to be able to stay angry, or there's that one thing that I haven't forgiven them or forgiven myself about. So looking at where you could forgive is one of the things that will free you up with that. Great question. Okay, great. So great to see you today, and I'll look forward to next time.